Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. If you like all things true crime, if you like it delivered in a peaceful, tranquil manner, if you like it clear and concise without drama, then I highly recommend you subscribe. And if you like what you hear, please smash the like button. It's a free way you can help. And now, without further ado, let's dig in. Well, hello there. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you guys are. I'm going to start sharing some makeup tips with you just because I love makeup. And I was going to tell you what my favorite lipstick brand is, and it's Urban Decay. It doesn't matter whether you get the lipstick, the lip gloss, or whatever. Their colors are so pigmented, so beautiful. They stay all day. They're absolutely wonderful. Best I've ever found. Your lips will love you. And no, this is not a sponsored ad, although I think I should get a sponsored ad because I've bought so much of this stuff over the years. I should own shares in the company. Lying in the fetal position in a long line of bamboo trees, body covered with flies, wearing a green-colored hooded sweatshirt and blue jeans. That is how Stephan Sterns allegedly left 13-year-old Madeline Soto after using his hands to take her life. Sterns, although accused, has not been convicted yet of the crime, so he is presumed innocent. It's curious that Stephan Sterns told the cops that Maddie was wearing black shorts when she was actually found in long blue jeans. I've been reading the 900 pages of documentation released by the prosecution in the case against Stephan Sterns, and I want to share key snippets from the docs that I think you might find interesting. Now, some of this initial information you may already know if you're following the case. Other info is new to me, so I think it may be new to you as well. Madeline's mother, Jenn Soto, after reporting her daughter missing, told Deputy Joseph of the Orange County Sheriff's Office that she last saw Maddie at approximately 8 a.m. Monday morning getting dressed for school, and that her boyfriend, Sterns, took Maddie to Hunters Creek Middle School at 8:30 a.m. Both of those statements were lies. Why did Jenn Soto lie? Did she know Maddie's fate at the time? Or had Stephan Sterns asked her to tell the police that narrative? So far, Jenn has not been charged in connection with her daughter's death, but a lot of people are incensed about that. After that conversation, Deputy Joseph collected an item of clothing belonging to Maddie, and he headed to the intersection of Town Loop Boulevard and Hunters Park with an Orange County Sheriff's Office K-9. That intersection is near Madeline's middle school. The tracking yielded negative results, meaning Madeline's scent track was not found there. During his interview on Tuesday, February 27th, with two Orange County detectives, Stephan Sterns said that on the night of Sunday, February 25th, which is the same day Maddie celebrated her birthday, at a party hosted by her grandmother, he arrived at Jenn Soto's residence at 20:45 or 8:45 p.m. So Sterns was not invited or did not attend Madeline's birthday party. This is interesting because Jenn has described him as Maddie's stepfather, and he has described himself as her bonus dad. So why wasn't Sterns at the party? Stephan said Jenn wasn't home yet from work when he arrived at the home. He then directed Maddie to get ready for bed. Per Stephan, when Jenn arrived, she informed him and Maddie that she would like to sleep in and directed them upstairs to a guest room to sleep together. Nice move, Mom. Lay the prey right at the hunter's feet. But of course, this is Stephan Sterns' account of events. According to Stephan, he and Maddie woke up between 7 and 7:15 a.m. in order to, quote, get an early start, end quote, so they could buy food from McDonald's before school. Sterns told the cops he left the residence between 7:30 and 7:45 a.m. Let me interject here that we now know that Maddie was likely already deceased at this time. By the way, I was thinking that back in the day when I was in middle school, I needed more than 15 to 30 minutes to get ready, but that's just me. I was a little high maintenance. Stephan said that on the drive to school, Maddie slept the entire time. Oh yeah, she slept all right. The sleep of those who are eternally at rest. Great way to explain why Maddie was strapped in the passenger seat with her head flopped over on her left shoulder and her mouth ajar, just in case a security camera happened to catch a glimpse of Sterns' vehicle. Per Sterns, once near the McDonald's, Maddie told him that she didn't want the McDonald's breakfast, can't eat if you can no longer chew and hold stuff, and if you no longer require sustenance. Stephan claims to have dropped Maddie off on the right side of the road near the community south of the State Route 417 overpass between 8:20 and 8:40 a.m. After dropping off Maddie, Stephan said he went to a vape shop to get more vape juice. The shop wasn't open, so he said he went back to Jenn Soto's residence at 10 a.m. He hung out with, and here the name was redacted, but I believe it was Jenn Soto. He said an hour later, so around 11 a.m., he, Stephan, returned to the vape shop. Stephan has his priorities. Can't get through this important day after what he's allegedly done without vape juice. Then Sterns drove back to Jenn's house and hung out with her again. Stephan told Detective Acosta that Jenn had a blood appointment at some point that day. He said he remained home until 12:45 p.m. At that time, he said he drove to the area around US 192 to run several errands. Stephan said that while on US 192, he visited some card shops because he is a, quote, nerd, and a new card had been released. First, he's not a nerd. Nerds are pretty cool, in my opinion. He's a freak for what he did to Maddie, allegedly, and I say that based on the essay that was found on his phone and, of course, her death. Sterns said he visited the Coliseum of Comics, stopped at a couple of Targets, wonder why he had to hit a couple of them, and was going to go to the House Rules games on Oak Street and US 192. But Sterns said he didn't make it that far because he got a flat tire. That might be the only true statement he makes, because we know that later on a witness will come forward to say that he saw Sterns stopped on the side of the road. What's not true is what Stephan said next. He stated that he pulled into a plaza to change the tire, but he couldn't remember the plaza's name. He said it was before Oak Street. After that, Stephan called Jenn to say he couldn't make it back in time to go with her to BJ's warehouse. What is with this BJ's warehouse? Remember, Katie Proudfoot in the Sebastian Rogers case said that she went to BJ's with her son Sebastian on the day that he disappeared, and I believe that's where he had a colossal popcorn, allegedly. Once back at the townhome, Stephan claims he straightened the apartment up and waited for Jenn. I suspect he was trying to hide any evidence of what may have happened that morning. Stephan Sterns seems to like to play with words, in my opinion. He leaks some truth in everything he says. Just like he said Maddie was asleep during the entire drive to school, he maybe thinks he's being coy, but he's basically dropping little hints about what really happened. Now, per Stephan, Jenn then contacted him to say that Maddie hadn't come out of school. Stephan said he began getting worried and started making phone calls to, and it's redacted, but I think he likely said to Jenn Soto's family, asking them to be on the lookout. Stephan told the officer that this is when, quote, everything started going downhill, end quote. I think this is Stephan Sterns' double talk, leaking truth, for him knowing that the shit's about to hit the fan. People are now going to find out that Maddie never made it to school and that she's missing. And Stephan may know at this point that eventually because he didn't pick a superstellar dumping ground and because he was spotted changing that tire, that he's going to be caught sooner rather than later. Stephan then blamed Maddie not having her phone with her that morning on her being, quote, severely ADHD. He also said Jenn Soto and he are also ADHD. Stephan said it was not unusual for Maddie to forget her phone. Stephan told Officer Acosta that Madeline had not taken her medication the week prior due to her being at her grandparents' residence most of the week, resulting in her being, quote, very spacey. Stephan went on to tell Officer Acosta that Maddie had once been diagnosed as autistic, but was later advised that she was not. As the officer looked through Stephan's Google Maps account on his cell phone, he noticed that Stephan did not have recorded travel on the account consistent with the driving he informed the cops he had done on Monday, February 26th and Tuesday, February 27th. The officer then asked Stephan when he returned to Kissimmee to assist Jenn Soto, and he stated it was on Sunday, February 25th at 8:30 p.m., quote, just in time to make sure she, meaning Maddie, was doing all her nightly routines, end quote. As they waited for Jenn to get home, this is when Stephan said he and Jenn had stayed local when it came to searching for Maddie, and that he did not recall driving anywhere Monday night after Maddie was reported missing. Sterns also announced that he was, quote, socked out on Ativan at that point because he was a wreck, end quote, and that he was on so many tranquilizers. I'm sure he was. This guy sounds like a man-child to me. He's a little boy living in a man's body. He spends his time reading comics, vaping, taking tranquilizers, and then essaying a little girl. Sorry, but I do not cotton to Stephan Sterns. When Sterns was confronted by the detective for actually driving a different route on Monday, when he supposedly dropped Maddie off for school, he said he was sorry and that he returned to Jenn's residence because he'd forgotten his gate clicker, which I think is later referred to as his key fob. He mentioned several times that he got information and times wrong because he's not a morning person. Per Stephan, he drove from the school back to Jenn's house with Maddie still in his vehicle for the gate clicker because they, quote, had plenty of time to kill. Yes, he used the words to kill. To me, that word is Stephan leaking truth once again. I've heard statement analysts say that the brain is designed to tell the truth, and so when it has to lie, there can be hesitation, and sometimes the truth leaks out inadvertently. When asked why he couldn't have just waited until after he dropped Maddie off at school to get the gate clicker, Stephan stated he could have, but he liked coming into the complex through the back gate because sometimes they were busy at the front gate and it was better not to wait in a long line. Let me interject here that I think Stephan was desperate to avoid the complex's front gate because of having a deceased Maddie in his vehicle propped up by her seatbelt. He likely didn't want to risk being spotted by the guards in the gatehouse or by other people waiting in line, perhaps later in the morning when more people would be awake and driving to and from the complex. I think he truly forgot the gate clicker and realized that he better hightail it and get it pronto, even if he still had Maddie propped up deceased in his car. I think he was probably thinking erratically at this point and panicking. Now, when the officer took Stephan's phone, he noticed that it contained only minimal data on his call history, and it looked like some messaging applications had never been used. Sterns spit out a lot of word salad to explain that. I suspect Sterns was getting nervous at this point. He was saying how he made a joke about Maddie wearing Crocs and socks. He also described Maddie as a very good girl who brought a lot of joy, and it did not feel the same without her around. It infuriates me to have him say that Maddie brought him a lot of joy. I think we know what type of joy she brought him based on those photos on his phone. Sterns said that Maddie had been so happy and had been looking forward to him visiting and all of them being together. Stephan claimed that Maddie called him, quote, her bonus dad, and advised that he and she had a very strong bond and that she knew nothing but love in that household. To me, this was Stephan showing guilt. In my opinion, he was trying too hard to prove that he was a good adult in Maddie's life, a bonus parent with whom she was very close. This was the same thing that Candace Bly did when Chris McDonough of the Interview Room came to the Wells property, and she was showing how she walked little Summer from her grandmother's trailer the few feet over to the Wells home. Candace was desperate to portray herself as a watchful, caring mother. I think Sterns was doing the same thing here with this cop. So the officer has the phone, he walks away, and then he returns to speak to Stephan, and he asks him if Stephan will unlock his phone. Stephan does. At this point, the officer inquired as to whether or not Stephan had his phone with him when he dropped Madeline off for school. Stephan replied that he did not have it with him. He said he forgot it. Convenient. Maddie forgot her phone, and so did Stephan. Gotta leave the phone at home when you don't want anyone to know where you went. This is when Stephan had to explain why his phone only had a call log for February 27th. And as you may know, he said he accidentally did a factory reset and lost all his contacts and info. Stephan said this happened when he was hanging out with Jenn Soto after dropping Maddie off at school. That's probably the first time he had a chance to breathe and think about it and realize he needed to get all that stuff off his phone. Now, later that night, the detectives went to the front entrance of Jenn Soto's complex, and they took a look at the surveillance footage from Monday morning. They observed a male in a red shirt leaving the complex in a 2010 silver Lincoln MKZ through the rear gate at 7:50 a.m. with a female wearing, quote, a green sweater in the front seat. The man in the red shirt is presumably Stephan Sterns. The person in the green sweater was Maddie. The detective said that in the video, the person in the green sweater appeared to be sitting upright with her head slumped over to her left side. At 8:19 a.m., the detective saw that a male wearing a red shirt entered the complex through the front gate in the Lincoln with someone in the passenger seat wearing a green sweater and slumped over. At 8:31 a.m., the male in the red shirt left the complex with that female still completely slumped over to the left. After this, two detectives returned to Jenn Soto's residence and had a detective named Hunt ask everyone in the house to please exit the residence. This is when they secured Jenn's townhouse. After that, it appears Jenn Soto was interviewed. Jenn Soto expressed that she had a new job and that she had asked Maddie and Stephan to sleep upstairs because she needed to get rest. Jenn said that Maddie's birthday party on Sunday, February 25th, began at 3 p.m. and ended at an unknown time. Jenn was not there because of her new job. She advised that her sister dropped Maddie off at home at approximately 8:30 p.m., and Jenn believed Stephan arrived shortly after that. Stephan told Jenn that Maddie took her nighttime medication and was getting ready for bed, which consisted of taking a shower. Jenn said she arrived home on Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. and sent Maddie and Stephan to bed at 11 p.m. in an upstairs guest bedroom. 11 p.m. seems sort of late, in my opinion, for a 13-year-old to go to bed on a school night, but I'm old school. Jenn told the detectives that she would sometimes send Maddie and Stephan upstairs when she needed a really good night's rest. She also stated that the three of them would sometimes all sleep together in the king-size bed downstairs, and other times Stephan would sleep upstairs, meaning Maddie and Jenn would sleep alone downstairs. Jenn also said that she awoke on Monday, February 26th, the day Maddie went missing, sometime between 8 and 8:15 a.m., because Stephan had gone into her bedroom to put the dog's leash on. Jenn got up to help Stephan put the leash on because she didn't want the dog to pee on the bed. Jenn said she heard people in the kitchen, and as far as she knew, Maddie had gone downstairs to get ready for school. Jenn then stated that Redacted, and I think that may be Stephan Sterns, had a makeshift room in the living room that had a TV, a desk, a dresser, and a bed. Stephan only used this room to hang out and would never sleep there. I wonder if that setup in the living room was for other people's benefit, so that they would believe that that is where Stephan slept when he visited Jenn's house. The officer then asked Jenn the last time she had physically seen Maddie. Jenn stated it was on Sunday, February 25th at 11 p.m., when she had sent her daughter to bed. Clearly, this information doesn't match what Jenn said earlier about observing Maddie getting dressed for school on the morning of Monday, February 26th. This is the stuff that may lead to Jenn Soto being charged with something, at the very least lying to the police. Jenn told the detectives that she got out of bed at 9 a.m. that Monday morning and left around 9:30 for a doctor's appointment scheduled at 10:15 a.m. She returned home between 11 and 11:15, and she believed Stephan was home at the time. How do you not know where he is just like a day after all of this happens? Jenn said she and Stephan chatted a bit, and then she asked him what happened. The detective asked her what she meant by that question, and Jenn replied that Stephan called her around 10:18 a.m. to let her know that he and Maddie had not gone to McDonald's. Jenn relayed the same stories that Stephan had about Maddie that morning. She said that Stephan told her Maddie was sleepy, that he went to the vape shop. The detective told Jenn about Stephan's flat tire. He also asked Jenn how she found out Maddie wasn't at school, and she said normally she left home around 2:30 p.m. to pick Maddie up, and she would wait around an hour for Maddie to get out and for the bell to ring. That's weird that Jenn went to school an hour early that day. Maybe she did that to be first in line. When the bell rang, Maddie didn't come out, and at 4:10 p.m., Jenn said she drove away because she was holding up the parent line. Jenn then drove to an insurance office where I believe her mother either works or her mother owns the office. At 4:30 p.m., Jenn knew Maddie should have reached the office by now. Apparently, sometimes after school, Maddie would walk over there. Jenn then called a friend of Maddie's and asked if she was with her daughter. The friend told Jenn that Maddie hadn't been to school that day. Jenn told the detective that she said this to her daughter's friend. "What do you mean? We dropped her off close to school." That's when Jenn emailed some of Maddie's teachers, and one said she had not made it to school. And this is when Jenn said she began to freak out and she dialed 911. Jenn told the officer that it was common for Maddie to forget her phone because she has ADHD, is extremely forgetful, and loses track of time. Again, this sounds like exactly what Stephan Sterns told the police. So either this information is true, or perhaps Stephan fed Jenn the narrative to share with the cops. After Stephan heard Maddie didn't make it to school, he showed up at the insurance office. They all waited for law enforcement to show up. Jenn told the officers that she took Maddie's phone with her when she went to pick Maddie up. Jenn handed the phone to her sister and niece at the insurance office, and they both went through it. They said they didn't see anything unusual. Jenn then told the officer that she went to search in the Hunters Creek area, but returned home at approximately 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., and she said she had stayed home after that, but that Stephan went back out in the middle of the night on Monday in Jenn's vehicle. Note that Stephan Sterns did not admit to the police that he left the residence on Monday night into very early Tuesday morning. So what was he up to? Did he take Jenn's car because he wanted to throw off the surveillance cameras? Did he return to the dump site to check things out and decide if he needed to move anything? At this point, the officer told Jenn Soto that her residence was going to be secured and everyone was going to have to stay somewhere else that night. He also said that Stephan's car was going to be towed to the sheriff's office for processing. Jenn and Stephan went to the same place to stay that night, and later in these documents it mentions that they stayed at a hotel. Oh, to be a fly on the wall of that hotel room that night. That would be very revealing because the police have taken Stephan's car. Did Jenn think that was just normal procedure because he was the person last seen with Maddie? Or was she beginning to wonder if something had happened? Did she already know what had happened to Maddie? The conversations between Jenn and Stephan at that hotel that night would probably be very enlightening. Where's a spy pen when you need it? Then, on Wednesday, February 28th, Stephan had a second interview. This is when the officers asked if they had Stephan's consent to download his phone or if they needed a search warrant. Stephan said it was fine. Weird. You'd think he would have wanted to keep his phone and somehow ditch it forever before they had a chance to find those photos, but maybe he felt safe because of that accidental factory reset and thought the images were gone forever. The officer told Stephan that while digital forensics was going through Maddie's phone, they noticed there was a lot of communication between him and Madeline. The officer asked Stephan to explain to him what his relationship with the 13-year-old was like. This is when Stephan said again that Maddie thought of him as a dad. The officer asked what Stephan spoke to Maddie about when they would FaceTime. It sounds like maybe Stephan and Maddie FaceTimed a lot. Stephan replied that he spoke to both Jenn and Maddie on FaceTime, so it sounds like he didn't really answer the question. The officer also asked Stephan to explain what he did when he returned to the townhome to get his key fob, and again I think he meant the gate clicker. Stephan said he parked, ran inside to get the key fob, got back into his car, and left the complex for his, quote, morning mission, end quote. This could be Stephan leaking some truth once again. He definitely had an important mission that morning if he is indeed the person who did Madeline in. Stephan said that he dropped Maddie off at school at 8:40 a.m., then drove to the smoke shop and waited 5 or 10 minutes for the store to open. When asked if he went anywhere else, Stephan said he was probably driving toward the direction of home and did not recall going anywhere else. This is when the officer told him that his vehicle was seen heading south again at 10 a.m. The officer said, "What did you do between 8:40 and 10 a.m.? Stephan answered that he was, quote, cruising around a little bit, end quote. The officer then reminded him that he just said he headed home after the smoke shop. Stephan replied that maybe he lingered in the area, but ultimately he had made his way home. The officer was not going to let Stephan off so easily. He said to him that he was going to need help understanding why there was an hour and 20-minute gap, which Stephan then stated he was not sure what to say about since it had been a normal day. Stephan said he could not explain the time delay since he had not gone anywhere in particular. Clearly, Stephan was already in hot water at this point, and I'm sure he could sense that the officer wasn't buying into his story. This is when Stephan said he was trying the best he could. The detective then asked him if he had memory issues. I think that the officer was being sort of sarcastic. Stephan answered that he was diagnosed with ADHD, he did not have his phone with him, and was not sure of the time. This reminds me so much of Candace Bly, when after Summer Wells disappeared and she was asked about specific times. Never could she give a specific time. The officer then asked if Maddie went inside the townhome when Stephan drove with her from school back to the home. Stephan, not surprisingly, said no because she was asleep. Again, with the sleeping with the fishies, as they say. When he was asked where he got a flat tire, Stephan stated that everything looked the same and he was drawing a blank. He only recalled pulling into a plaza. Well, we know that was a lie. He got the flat tire on a rural road named Hickory Road, nowhere near a shopping plaza. But I'm getting ahead of this police interview. The officer said that he noticed that while speaking with Stephan, he was wearing a blue shirt. In the video from earlier in the day, he was observed wearing a red shirt. Stephan replied that he had not changed clothes since the previous morning and did not believe he showered either. The officer then asked to take a photo of his hands, and Stephan consented. When the officer looked at the photos, he noticed Stephan had a 2 to 3 inch long scar on the top part of his right wrist. Wow, that's interesting. Could that mean that Stephan maybe at some point had tried to unalive himself? I'm speculating, but that's an odd place to have a scar that long. Stephan also had minor scratches to the top part of his left hand, and I do wonder where those scratches came from. Was it because of what happened to Maddie? Did she fight back? Or did it occur when he was allegedly taking her body from his car to that row of bamboo trees? On February 28th, Stephan's car was towed to the Orange County Sheriff's Office Central Operations Center in Orlando, and his phone was taken to the Digital Forensics Unit, where it was immediately processed. When they looked at the car's GPS, as found in the vehicle's infotainment system, they saw that the vehicle was driven on Tuesday, February 27th, the day after Maddie was reported missing, and well before her body was found. The car was driven specifically between 3:27 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. in the area of US 192. Note that on the day Maddie vanished, Sterns' car was observed at 1:05 p.m. going eastbound at US 192 and Pecan Street in Kissimmee. 15 minutes later is when a witness saw Sterns pulled over on Hickory Tree Road in St. Cloud with a tire iron. This is believed to be when Sterns moved Maddie from his car to the tree line. Stephan's car also traveled on Wednesday, February 28th between the hours of 4:42 a.m. and 10:55 a.m. between US 192 and southwest to Northport, Florida. What could he have been doing on Wednesday? Throwing evidence away, maybe? Once the phone was successfully downloaded on the morning of February 28th, the detectives discovered all the photos of child essay materials. They saw photos of Madeline engaged in various acts and posing without her clothing. In the photos, the background was identified as Jenn Soto's residence. Thanks to a unique marking on Sterns' private part, if you know what I mean, he was identified as the male in the photos. He has a black mark in a particular location. When detectives searched Jenn Soto's residence, they were able to locate several items seen in the photos. After this, the Violent Crime Squad called the sheriff's office to say they had located a video of Stephan discarding something on Monday, February 26 at 7:35 a.m. And in this video, a female in a green sweater was observed in the front passenger seat. She was completely slumped over with her mouth, quote, ajar. The detectives were able to hook up with the trash compactor, and this is when they located the intact tread of a tire, which matched the tread pattern of the rear passenger tire of Stephan Sterns' vehicle. The detectives also found a white trash bag that had a black backpack with a purple Hawaiian print and one Croc shoe. In the backpack, they found a school computer with Maddie's name on it. I think that they called it black, but I think it was a dark gray backpack. Next, Stephan was subjected to a video and audio recorded sworn interview at the Kissimmee Police Department, and during this chat, he was presented with a DNA search warrant. This is when crime scene investigators took photos of Stephan's body and collected all of his clothing. They also got a close-up of that black mark we talked about earlier. Stephan was taken into custody and charged with several crimes related to the photo. Well, actually, more than several crimes. I think there were like 60 charges. On March 1st, a detective from the Kissimmee PD went to the area of Destination Parkway and John Young Parkway to canvass for evidence. This is when they went to the Holiday Inn Club Vacations building and found video that showed on the day Maddie vanished, Sterns' vehicle was in the parking garage, and a male wearing a dark hat, a red shirt, and tan pants exited the vehicle, opened the trunk. He then walked to the front passenger side of the car, opened the door, and carried a limp body to the trunk. This is when the police issued a bulletin requesting information from the public. They mentioned that Sterns had changed a flat tire in the area of US 192 and Old Hickory Road, and this is when a tip came in about a man matching Sterns' description being seen changing a tire. The tip directed the police to the area, and it wasn't long after that Maddie was found in the wooded area. So that is what happened in the hours and days after Madeline Soto was reported missing. It took a lot of detectives, some huge breaks thanks to surveillance camera footage, and a tip from the public to figure out what happened to Maddie and who was responsible for it, allegedly. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments, and I will continue going through the 900 pages of evidence. The next part will talk about what Maddie's best friend told the police. This is a friend that Maddie confided some things to, and so she has some interesting things to say. So I'll see you next time on Bed Crime Stories. If you enjoyed this, please smash that like button, and I'll see you next time.
All right, give me a second, bro.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Let me finish up with this and I'll give you a call. I'm almost there.
Are you able to pick up call 931, please?
I'm currently working possible signal leak. Can I hold off on that?
Is this number from the other one?
26. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Do they speak English?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This is Mom.
This is Mom? Okay. Hi there.
Hey there.
Hey there. What's going on?
So my daughter was dropped off close to school this morning, but never made it. I went to pick her up from school.
I'm sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Are we looking for another kid or we have a kid?
Looking for another one.
Good.
Alright, so people are still on the scene. Let's put that out in the possible location. How long?
13.
I'm trying to get there right now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
So she was supposed to be dropped off at school, didn't make it to school.
Didn't make it to school. I went to pick her up from school today,
Okay.
and she never came out. They announced it over the speaker, and I'm just like, maybe she walked here, because sometimes she'll walk here to this office. I came here, nothing. I went back to the school, they were closed. I got a notice, an email from the school saying she was absent, but I also messaged her teacher, and he looked at her entire attendance today and saw that she was completely not at school today either.
Okay.
So she never made it.
Okay. What's her name?
Madeline. Madeline.
Madeline. Last name?
Soto. Soto.
Soto.
Yeah.
Date of birth?
February 22nd, 2011.
February 27, 2000.
22nd,
Oh, sorry. 22nd,
2011.
2011.
Just had her 13th birthday.
13.
1418 Charlie 405. What's the name of the single aid?
Madeline Soto, age 13. I'm trying to get a clothing description now. What was she last seen wearing?
26 County Charlie 405. People hit my call 931. It's the same call.
Green hoodie.
Green hoodie.
White Crocs.
White Crocs.
Either blue or black pants.
I think black shorts.
Black shorts.
Yeah.
Black shorts? Okay. Black shorts. Alright. Do you know if she has like friends in the area?
She does, but she doesn't know where they live.
She doesn't know where they live. Okay.
I asked all of them.
Okay. Is this like, does she like have any places that you guys know that she'll usually be at? Any friend's house? Any places that like she likes to hang out?
Not typically, no.
No.
Not typically?
No.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. Let me see if I get some.
Thank you.
No problem. And what school she goes to?
Hunters Creek Middle School.
Hunters Creek Middle? Alright, cool. 125. Do you have a picture of her? Can you airdrop it to me?
Yeah, I know. Let me see which picture. I don't know which picture.
Looking recently, probably from a birthday party, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't there, so I had to look at what's up.
Go ahead. That's what I'm about to grab right now. Yeah. Alright, cool, thank you.
Is this a good enough picture, or do you need a whole
Yeah,
body
that's
picture?
perfect.
Okay. How do I airdrop? I don't know how to do it.
I got you. Okay, where's the photo? Right there.
It's on WhatsApp.
That's fine. This is it?
I saved it to my photos, so you could go.
You saved it to your photos?
Yeah, we can just go
Perfect.
straight to the photos.
Okay, perfect. Give me a second.
Got it.
I'm gonna send it out right now to my other guys.
Thank you very much.
No problem.